When couples reach for hope restored, they're not chasing numbers. They're fighting for their marriage. They're exhausted, scared, and clinging to the promise that someone can help them avoid divorce. So when Focus on the Family quotes an 85 or 82 or 80% success rate with confident certainty, it feels like divine proof, as if God Himself had stamped it approved. But buried inside their own study is another story, one that isn't about miracles, it's about math. Because when faith meets data manipulation, it stops being ministry and becomes marketing. So let's look at the Hope Restored Marriage Intensive math trick, the case of the vanishing couples. Focus on the Family, their parent company, and Hope Restored's website claims that 85% of couples are still married 2 years later. It sounds amazing, like a marriage miracle. Let's see, though, where that number really came from. The source is a study by Burby, Sparks, Paul, and Arnzen in 2011. This study was not conducted by an outside neutral third party organization, but by the leadership of Hope Restored, which back then was known as National Institute for Marriage. 1,043 couples attended intensives between September 2004 and July 2007. Four follow-up studies were done. They were sent out at month 3, month 6, month 12, and 24 months. Each survey was mass emailed to both spouses, about 2,086 emails per wave. Of the 1,043 couples, how many filled out a survey and when? It was evidently difficult to get people to respond to the surveys. Even at their best, the 3-month survey, only about 15% of couples replied. That'd be about, 1 in 7. At the 24-month survey, only 8% responded. That would be about 1 in 11, 1 in 12. So if you look at this chart, you'll see that the response went down from 157 couples to 144 to 136. And finally, at 24 months, all they had was 84 responses. The majority of attendees just ignored the surveys, especially the 24-month survey, where more than 9 in 10 didn't respond. And you can see the divorces over on the far right side. No divorces in the first 3 months, obviously. It takes longer than 3 months to get a divorce. 3 divorces by 6 months, 7 divorces by 12 months, 13 divorces at 24 months. So let's look at that 24-month survey. Of the 4 surveys, this is the only one they could use to make the 85% still married after 2 years claim. 71 of the 84 couples who responded were still married. 71 couples divided by all couples, 1,043, is about 7%. So you can see known married was, about 7%, 6.8%. Known divorced was 1.2%. So let's just call that 1%. And they got absolutely no data from about 92% of the entire group. Only about 7% of all couples could be absolutely confirmed as still married. So, what about this claim of 85 or 82 or 80%? I just don't see it. It wasn't a miracle, it was marketing math. All the authors of this 2011 study currently are or have served as part of the clinical leadership team at Focus on the Family's Hope Restored Marriage Intensives. They agree the study wasn't empirically validated, and they called right there in the study for a better study to be done 14 years ago. It hasn't happened yet, and that's a problem. Why does this matter? Well, because they're still making miracle claims on their website. These intensives cost desperate couples about $3,000 to $6,000 for a 3 to 5 day intensive. Their 85% still married claim is not scientifically validated, and independent survey and anecdotal evidence suggest a much lower rate. In fact, almost the opposite. The independent survey, though not technically scientific, suggested that more than 7 in 10 of Hope Restored attendees later separated or divorced. If you could keep 85% of couples from divorcing, you wouldn't need miracle math, just honesty.